Discover the shocking truth. My heartfelt Christmas feast spent hours on became a hidden joke. Sarah had never felt more determined in her life. As sunlight crept through the window, illuminating her cramped kitchen, she stood at the counter chopping kale with focus. Today was not just any day, it was the culmination of weeks of planning. Her estranged family was finally coming home for Christmas, and she was ready to reclaim a piece of her past. Growing up, Christmas dinners had been extravagant affairs, filled with the aroma of her late mother's cherished recipes, and today she dedicated herself to recreating that magic. But as a culinary school dropout, doubts often nagged at her. What if she couldn't deliver the joy and connection that these meals symbolized? With each slice of onion, her heart raced. The possibility of failure haunted her. What if her family didn't appreciate the effort? What if they laughed at her overcooked chicken or too thick gravy? Each thought spurred her on as she mixed, marinated, and stirred, pouring love into every dish. The stakes felt impossibly high. If she failed, would it be a reflection of her worth? With unsteady hands, she imagined the laughter and warmth filling the room, drifting further toward hope while fears bubbled underneath. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the clock ticked toward family arrival, Sarah's anxiety deepened. The sound of laughter from the living room blared through the walls, her heart thrumming against her chest. But when they entered, the joy she yearned for was overshadowed by an icy atmosphere. Instead of the celebration she hoped for, her family exchanged worried glances and whispered laughter. Sarah's stomach churned. She caught snippets of snarky remarks about her culinary skills. The chestnut stuffing was met with eye rolls, and the cranberry sauce was a daring new twist. In an instant, her joy turned to anguish. What should have been a warm reunion was morphing into a cruel jest. Nausea crept up as Sarah watched the scene unfold. They were filming, mocking her efforts for some social media punchline. Each click of a phone camera felt like a dagger to her chest. The hours spent pouring her heart into each dish, a family recipe transformed into fodder for ridicule. Tears blurred her vision. How could they turn her nurturing act into a source of laughter? Fighting the urge to scream, she felt a deep ache of betrayal. She hesitated, breath catching as she faced her family, searching for understanding in their jaded smiles. The pain of knowing her labor was not respected left her shaken. "What is this?" she managed to ask, a tremor in her voice. The lightheartedness evaporated, giving way to a tension that simmered, threatening to boil over. Would addressing their mockery plunge the evening into chaos, or could it unveil the hurt beneath their laughter? As silence fell, Sarah squared her shoulders. A moment of reckoning hung thick in the air. Would she choose vulnerability and confront the unsealable tension? Or would she cower behind her apron, counting the cost of a familial bond that was teetering dangerously on the brink of collapse? The moment stretched painfully as Sarah held her breath, her heart pounding with uncertainty. Did they see the effort behind the dishes, or merely the opportunity for amusement? The laughter faded into an unsettling quiet, and she realized that this was the moment for confrontation. The mask of their indifference slipped, revealing something raw beneath the surface: hurt, insecurity, and an unexpected longing for connection. "Is this how you see me?" Her voice emerged steadier than she felt. "Just the butt of a joke?" The words hung in the air, heavy with unexpressed emotions. Family should have nurtured her, supported her, and yet here they were, casting shadows over her passion, her effort. She felt a surge of defiance. The youngest cousin, Derek, glanced up from his device, the laughter on his face replaced by confusion. He shifted awkwardly, unsure of how to respond to the change in atmosphere. Sarah seized the opportunity, eyes darting to the others. She noticed the reluctance, a hint of guilt buried in their lighthearted banter. Perhaps they realized that their joviality had turned sour. Food was never just food in our family, she pressed on, feeling her anger fuse with desperation. It was a tradition, a way to bring us together. Do you really think you're paying tribute to memories by mocking me? There was a ripple of tension in the room, a shift that snapped her focus away from the disbelief she had felt moments ago. As she looked around, she saw more than amused expressions. She saw confusion, regret, and perhaps even empathy. For all her fear and hurt, it was a turning point, a moment she could mold into something more meaningful. Her eldest sister, Claire, broke the silence, hesitating before speaking. We thought you'd have a good laugh with us. This is how we deal with the awkwardness that hangs over all of us when we get together. I didn't mean it to be unkind." Sarah's internal storm quieted slightly. Claire's words pierced through the panic, revealing their shared anxiety about failed familial connections. But it was just a moment. She needed to act on it, to channel that recognition into a bridge for understanding rather than a wall. "Maybe we can start fresh," she suggested, heart racing as she imagined what that might mean. "Let's talk instead of hiding." Behind jokes. Her eyes locked with each family member, daring them to engage. The bravery she'd gathered crumbled slightly under their scrutiny, but the fear of losing this chance propelled her forward. If they were willing to face the remnants of their relationship, she could become the architect of a new family narrative. The din of the kitchen, now a source of chaos, started turning into a sanctuary of possibilities. Would they step into her space, into vulnerability, and share not just laughter, but fears and hopes? Claire nodded slowly, the weight of years beginning to lift. "I would like that," she said. Slowly, heads began to nod, shifting the room's energy. As they initiated their tentative conversation, Sarah noticed something profound within herself: the courage to reshape connections. Behind every laugh and quip, there was an opportunity to reconcile the bonds of family with sincerity instead of sarcasm. In that moment, she felt a glimmer of hope flicker in her chest. Maybe they could collectively reclaim the spirit of Christmas the way it was meant to be, an embrace rather than an isolation. But would they continue to delve deeper or pull back into safe corners once the initial rawness faded? As excitement mingled with anxiety, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge began now. Would they uncover the layers beneath the jokes or retreat to their old playbook of mockery? The stakes were high, and in her newfound clarity, she pondered whether she had the strength to guide them through this uncharted territory. As she prepared to steer the conversation into more profound waters, she couldn't help but wonder, was she ready to confront not only them, but also the truths about herself she had kept hidden? Sarah took a deep breath, the air thick with anticipation and unasked questions. The laughter that once stung her was now a faint echo, replaced by a palpable tension that held the room captive. She had taken a leap. Now she needed to guide her family through the jagged edges of their past interactions, where humor had shielded them from deeper truths. "How about we share our own stories about what food means to us?" she suggested, her voice steadying with resolve. Everyone has a dish they connect with, a meal that reminds them of something important. The idea felt empowering. It was a chance for them to reveal more of themselves. Claire, tentatively, began. "Remember Grandma's apple pie? It was the only time she ever let us help her in the kitchen. We thought we were making magic, but really, we just made a mess." There was a lightness in her tone, but Sarah saw the shadows dancing in her eyes. The memories still held weight. As Claire recounted the story, Sarah felt a flicker of warmth. Here they were, beginning to peel back layers of missed connections. She nurtured the spark of courage igniting within her. Honesty needed to flow both ways. It was time for her to unearth her own unspoken truths intertwined with their shared history. Family dinners have always felt like a pressure cooker to me, Sarah started, choices weighing heavily in her mind. I wanted to impress you all, to be part of something that mattered, but when the laughter turned at my expense, it felt like a betrayal. The room quieted. In her vulnerability, she could sense them shifting. Perhaps their laughter had shielded them from confronting their realities too. Derek, who had been largely absent from the adult conversations, shifted in his chair. His youthful face creased with curiosity. I never thought of it that way. I just thought it was a funny thing to say, he admitted. The honesty of his reflection tore at Sarah's defenses, and it pushed her to dig deeper. As familial chatter slowly began to unfold, Sarah observed how each story built a bridge towards understanding. They began to share not just food-related memories, but heartfelt confessions about their insecurities. Claire revealed her fear of never being good enough, while another cousin spoke of the loneliness he felt under the weight of high expectations. It was remarkable. Each voice, layered upon another, revealed the specter of expectations within their family. No one dared to breach the surface until now. Sarah could feel the tide of their emotional landscape shifting. She was no longer just the cook, she was the vessel of transformation. With each story, clarity emerged. It was as if the air itself thinned, letting moments of introspection breathe life into her family's movement toward emotional honesty. But as the conversation flowed, so did the darker currents. Sarah was dismayed to realize just how long she had ignored her own needs and desires, allowing the weight of disapproval to overshadow her worth. Maybe I've hidden behind cooking, she confessed, a new essence flourishing in her voice. I thought if I could just make something special enough, you'd all see me differently. But perhaps I also wanted to hide. A lump formed in her throat, the truth coming forth like a slow tide. Would they accept her vulnerability without recoiling? The silence that followed was palpable. Sarah felt herself standing at the precipice of change, and the potential for a recalibrated family dynamic loomed before her like a beckoning horizon. She inhaled deeply, the tentative air growing thick with newfound understanding. But before she could feel the warmth of acceptance, Claire's hesitant question sliced through the tension. "What do you need from us, Sarah? Stay with us. Open like we are now. But what do you really want?" The question hung heavily in the air, threatening to uncover walls she hadn't fully confronted. Did she have the strength to answer? Could she articulate her needs? Or would fear push her back into the silence she had fought so hard to overcome? As this alarming realization washed over her, she couldn't help but wonder, was she ready to tear down the walls she had built around her voice? The weight Claire's question loomed large, suffocating yet liberating. Sarah's heart raced. What indeed did she need? Each beat resonated with her unvoiced desires, gently pulsating beneath layers of self-doubt and apprehension. She did not want to retreat now. A new path lay before her, but she struggled to step onto it. "Maybe I just want to be seen," Sarah finally said, her voice a fragile whisper. "For who I really am, not for what I can cook or how much I bring to the table." In those words lingered the essence of her true self, choked under years of familial expectations and the shield she had built around her insecurities. Claire's face softened as understanding washed over her features. The unspoken connection surged again, drawing in each member of the family like moths to a flame. Derek leaned in, suddenly fully present, and Sarah felt the warm cocoon of support envelop her, a stark contrast to the isolation she had borne. "We all have our ways of hiding," Derek voiced, echoing a sentiment she had not recognized in him until this moment. "Sometimes our humor," he hesitated, searching for the right words. "It's just a way to cope when we can't be serious, right? Like an escape hatch?" Sarah nodded slowly, processing the shift in their relationship. She recognized her hesitancy mirrored in others. It was a reminder that vulnerability was not solely her burden to bear.
Each family member possessed an armor, some rendered in jest, others molded by silence. Perhaps they could all lay down their shields. As the conversation continued, the focus transitioned. Each person began to express the motives behind their own escapist tendencies. Be it Derek's lighthearted jibes, Claire's self-deprecation, or even their cousin's yearning for unattainable perfection, it became increasingly clear they had all been navigating the turbulent waters of familial interactions without a proper map. Complex emotions rippled through the air. It was a shared recognition of how laughter sometimes masked longing. Sarah gazed around the room, noting the moistened eyes, the weight of unresolved issues tenderly laid bare. Overwhelmed but determined, Sarah felt warmth bloom in her chest, yet also something colder, an icy twinge of fear. She needed to push forward, but what if this shift in dynamics unraveled the very fabric of their family? What if we tried to help each other, she proposed, casting a glance around the room. Not just in cooking or sharing moments, but in being honest, asking for support, revealing the things we hold back. There was a bubbling excitement coupled with trepidation as her family processed this idea. Sarah's suggestion, so poetically simple, yet dangerously challenging, could unite them or rupture the tentative bonds they were beginning to forge. But how do we do that? Claire asked, unease lacing her voice. Sarah felt a surge of determination. Perhaps this was the opportunity she sought. We can start by making a pact. Every family meal, we take turns sharing something true about ourselves, something raw and unfiltered. We could create our space to express more than just culinary preferences. The air crackled with energy as they discussed the possibility, imaginations igniting with ideas for meals intertwined with storytelling. Yet, even amidst the burgeoning excitement, self-doubt clawed at Sarah. Would they truly be willing to engage with the depths of their emotions, or would the impulse to retreat back to laughter and lightness prove too strong? As her family buzzed with potential, Sarah suddenly grasped the paradox at play. She had opened the floodgates, but hadn't fully confronted her splintered self. What would happen when the gentle current of honesty collided with the tumultuous waves of her unresolved feelings? With resolve, she leaned back, surveying their exhilaration while weighing her next move. Amidst the frenzy of ideas planted in fertile ground, a new question bloomed in Sarah's heart. Could she be both vulnerable and brave enough to sustain this shift? The moment to commit to change seemed imminent, yet the echoes of laughter intertwined with her insecurities threatened to drown her clarity. She inhaled deeply, a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation swirling within her. Was she prepared for the next stepping stone, a confrontation with her own hesitations? As the laughter died down, Sarah felt the tide of anticipation rising again, ready to surf the waves of her emerging truth. The following week, the family gathered for their first meal under the newly proposed pact. As Sarah set the table, she felt a mix of excitement and cold dread. This dinner wasn't just about food anymore. It was about unveiling secrets. What if their vulnerable moments turned into awkward silences? She clenched her jaw, channeling her anxiety into carefully arranging the plates, trying to transform the weight of expectation into a ritual of courage. Once everyone settled around the table, the air buzzed with nervous energy, punctuated by the clinking of utensils and the low murmur of conversation. Sarah initiated the evening, clearing her throat to capture their attention. "Okay, everyone, this is it, our first share. I'll go first." A flicker of uncertainty crossed her mind, but she pressed on. "I've always felt like I'm not enough, always measured by my culinary skills or how well I can keep the peace." The room fell silent. She could feel their gazes, steady and searching. Derek shifted uncomfortably, while Claire maintained an encouraging smile, but Sarah sensed the weight of unspoken thoughts. "I worry that if you don't see me for who I really am, I'll fade into the wallpaper," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm tired of hiding." The confession, raw and unrefined, was met with stillness. It wasn't a typical dinner conversation, a deep dive into the vulnerable parts that left no one unaffected. Claire, fingers trembling around her wine glass, finally spoke. "I felt the same, Sarah. I think I hide behind humor because it's what people expect of me. But inside, I fear I'm not funny enough or interesting enough." Her admission echoed in the room, a domino effect,
igniting a fire in their previously guarded hearts. Derek cleared his throat, visibly uncomfortable but determined. "Guess I'm next then," he chuckled lightly, though the lightness in his tone faltered. "I joke around a lot because, well, it's easier, isn't it? But honestly, it's terrifying to think that these walls I built are just keeping me lonely." The subtle hint of vulnerability in his voice shocked Sarah. Revelations cascaded around the table as the emotional layers peeled back like the skin on an onion. Each person, while revealing their struggles, tripped over their own words, battling with the sensations of embarrassment and bravery. Laughter peeked through their confessions, morphing into a hesitant kind of understanding. Yet, with every shared story, Sarah's heart bore the burden of buried truths she wasn't ready to confront. The conversations began to take an unexpected turn, transforming heartfelt confessions into deeper queries. At one point, Claire turned back to Sarah, her brows furrowing in thought. "What about your dreams, Sarah? It sounds like you don't think you're enough. But what if you chased something just for you, like your passion for painting or writing?" The challenge lodged itself firmly in Sarah's mind. What if she could take the leap? The hesitation that swallowed her was mixed with nausea and thrill. Stretching herself personally to fit into a new mold as a creator actually terrified her. But, lifting her head, she felt a daring spark ignite deep within. "I've always wanted to write a food blog," she said with a sudden steadiness in her voice. "But I've never felt like my perspective mattered. Who would want to read what I think?" Honestly, it may not just be about food. It's about weaving your story, your struggles, what makes you, Derek replied, a hint of conviction in his voice. Maybe that's what they want to read. The warmth of their support fueled her resolve, igniting an idea she had previously dismissed. She feared rejection and ridicule, but facing their honesty steered Sarah into uncharted waters. They were stretching towards authenticity, questioning if she could do the same. As the evening progressed, laughter punctuated their stories, but beneath the laughter loomed another discomfort, the challenge of exposing their personal dreams buried under the weight of family expectations. Each shared moment opened the door to a new dimension of connection, emerging from a team effort to shed their insecurities. At the end of dinner, as her family departed, Sarah sat alone for a moment, feeling the buoyancy of what they had achieved. Still, two tensions twisted within her. Would she pursue her blog, and could she confront the intricate tapestry of her fears now that the floodgates had opened? She stood and turned to the kitchen, the pots and pans left to wash reminiscent of unfinished tasks. Something stirred deep within Sarah, a brewing storm mixed with courage and uncertainty, pressing her forward into the future. As she began clearing the table, a vague thought flickered through her mind. Was it truly time to come to terms with her past? To explore not only inspiration, but also her deep-rooted fears that had defined her family dynamics. Amidst the clatter of dishes, she felt the anticipation rise again, a silent drumroll of possibility that demanded resolution. What would she uncover as she embraced this new chapter? The following day, Sarah awoke to the amber light filtering through the curtains, the soft glow gently nudging her from sleep. Yet, sleep did not wash away the tumult in her mind. The dinner had dissolved barriers in ways she hadn't anticipated, launching her into unfamiliar territory. She felt an obligation to examine her fears and desires more closely, a daunting task she was now ready to face. She brewed a strong cup of coffee, the aroma filling the kitchen, grounding her to the present moment. The wooden table, still adorned with remnants of last night's deeper conversations, beckoned her. "Right," she whispered to herself, the word echoing like an incantation, insisting she grapple with her aspirations. With her laptop open and a blank screen glaring back, Sarah hesitated. Her fingers hovered above the keys, suddenly feeling the weight of her ambition pressing down on her. Who was she to think her voice mattered in a cacophonous digital world? But was it worse to remain silent? The question spiraled as she scribbled down her thoughts, each phrase growing bolder as she wrestled with her internal narrative.
But then the fears emerged. Images of rejection paraded before her mind's eye. What if no one cared to read her blog? What if her family laughed, not at her writing, but at her willingness to step into a spotlight that had, till now, felt too harsh? In moments like these, she often defaulted to the past, when self-doubt mingled with expectations. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. Why can't you just be happy with what you have? Enough, she shouted, startling herself and the cat lounging on the windowsill. Realizing that questioning was the only way through her tangled emotions, she typed furiously, a stream of consciousness spilling onto the screen. Each word became a confrontation against her insecurities, a dialogue with her past self. Her reflective prose ventured beyond food. It became about identities, familial roles, and the transformation she sought. The act of bridging past and present through writing felt empowering. The strands of her heart began to plait together as she vocalized her desire, not to be judged, but to authentically share her life as it intertwined with food. She thought of her early memories in the kitchen, the warmth of her grandmother's embrace, the chaotic yet comforting atmosphere where every meal was crafted with love. As the words flowed, a sense of possibility emerged. She could craft not just a blog, but a journey that combined vulnerability with her passion. What if she combined stories from her childhood with beloved recipes? People might not only connect with her culinary skills, but share in her vulnerability. This idea was akin to a lifeboat, a stronghold she desperately needed as she navigated uncharted waters. The thought thrilled her, invigorating Sarah anew. She paused for a moment to glance at the calendar. With the holidays approaching, the opportunity to weave personal anecdotes into feasts loomed ahead. Would she revive the family traditions or dare to innovate, create her own food festival of sorts? Would she invite them to participate and document the process, blending together her renewed courage with the familial ties they had shared? Reflecting on her growth, Sarah understood that the way forward would require not only courage, but also collaboration. Perhaps it was time to involve Derek and Claire in this wild endeavor. After all, they too had revealed their vulnerabilities. Could they find strength and creative collaboration in their shared experiences? Excitement coursed through her veins, igniting the dormant artist she had suppressed for so long. This would not be merely a blog, but an exploration of transformation that could strengthen their family bond. As thoughts whirled, Sarah realized how crucial it was to share her evolving plans with Derek and Claire. They would need to witness not just her journey, but become a part of it. The next family dinner wouldn't simply be about talking, but about crafting a collective experience. She closed her laptop, a newfound determination solidified in her heart. It was not going to be easy, but facing potential ridicule or rejection was now a catalyst for growth. The path she would carve was fragile yet beautiful, a connection initiative amongst them, challenging them to be their authentic selves in the process. As she prepared to reach out, a new excitement bubbled within her, a leap of faith now waiting to be born. Would this daring venture transform not just her voice, but the essence of who they were as a family? Just as she picked up her phone, another thought collided with her resolve. A realization that some secrets weren't just meant to be unearthed, they would have to be confronted. What hidden truths lay in her family's history that were intertwined with her own journey? It was time to confront the uncharted past as she shaped her present. With newfound resolve paving the way, she dialed Derek's number, the anticipation heavy in the air as she prepared to embark on a decisive conversation. After all, it was time to face not only her aspirations, but the complexities of her family's narrative. Would this be a step towards healing, or would it lead to a confrontation she was not ready to face? Derek picked up on the second ring, his voice a mix of curiosity and concern. "Sarah, is everything okay?" There was a brief pause, a moment where Sarah swayed on the precipice of vulnerability. "I wanted to talk about something important," she said, her voice steady yet vulnerable. The words she had been rehearsing swirled in her mind, each one heavy with meaning. "Sure, what's up?" he prodded, perhaps sensing the weight behind her.
I've been thinking about the holidays, about family traditions, cooking together, and how I want to share these experiences more openly, she admitted. It felt like the first crack in a dam, and she was worried about the flood that might follow. That sounds good, he replied, but Sarah sensed the hesitation in his response. You know we've all shared our fears, right? What if we take that vulnerability and turn it into something we create together? I want to mix stories and recipes from our family, and I'd love for you and Claire to be part of it. The words tumbled out, each aligning with her newfound resolve. Okay, Derek said slowly, but what exactly do you mean? Are you talking about a family dinner where we each bring our own recipes, or something larger? As Sarah detailed her vision, Derek's initial skepticism began to thaw, but a new question arose, a personal dilemma that lingered unspoken. Were they truly ready to confront the past in hopes of building something new? How do you think Mom would feel about this? You know how she is with change, Derek considered, his voice tinged with caution. A cold knot tightened in Sarah's stomach at the mention of their mother. Memories rushed back, intertwining her ambitions with familial obligations. Would their mother resist this exploration, or would she see it as a rejection of the very traditions that had shaped their lives? It was a fine line to tread, one that required delicate maneuvering. I think she might surprise us, Sarah replied, her voice firming. She may need to confront some truths too, but we can guide each other. It's about understanding where we all fit in this family story. A silence hung between them, filled with a cocktail of emotions and unspoken fears. It was Derek who broke the stillness. I guess it could work, the three of us cooking together, sharing memories. But what if it gets ugly? What if we unearth things that hurt? Then we face them, she responded resolutely. It might tear us apart, but if we shy away from discussing the past, we'll never grow together. And if it hurts, at least we'll be together when it does. Her words ignited a flicker of courage within her, reinforcing her belief in the transformative power of honesty. There was something terrifying about the prospect of unveiling hidden truths, yet liberating in its potential to reshape their shared identity. All right, Derek finally acquiesced, though Sarah could still sense his lingering doubt. Let's do it, but I think it would help to have a plan. Maybe we could start with our favorite childhood recipes. Absolutely. That would weave in our memories seamlessly, Sarah smiled, excitement bubbling back to the surface. They spent the next few minutes discussing the logistics, but as the conversation unfolded, Sarah's enthusiasm danced with a growing dread. What would Claire think? Would she embrace Sarah's call for authenticity, or would she recoil at the idea of revisiting their family's hidden narratives? As Derek assured her they would tackle this as a united front, part of Sarah's heart began to hope for healing. Yet, the thought of Claire's reaction loomed heavy over her. After hanging up, Sarah sat quietly, processing the bittersweet blend of anxiety and hope. She had taken the first step, but the next call would be even more critical. To involve Claire would mean inviting yet another dynamic into the delicate blend of their familial relationships. The ticking clock on the wall drew her attention, time pressing in as she realized she had to act swiftly. Before she could overthink, she dialed Claire's number, her heart racing as she prepared to lean into the unknown. She took a deep breath. This conversation could either solidify her vision or throw them all into a tumult of old wounds. Would it lead to a shared rewriting of their story, or unearth buried resentments that could shatter the fragile bond they were attempting to strengthen? Only the next conversation would decide. As the phone rang and her heart raced, Sarah's mind churned with visions of her sister's potential reactions. She felt a concoction of hope and fear bubble within her. Would Claire see the beauty in what she was trying to create, or dismiss it as another flaky idea from the sister she had never fully understood? "Come on, Claire, pick up," Sarah muttered under her breath.
Finally, on the other end, Claire answered, her tone cool and slightly wary. "Hey, Sarah, what's going on?" "Hi, I wanted to talk to you about something meaningful. About the holidays, actually." The weight of her words felt daunting. Holidays? We just got through Thanksgiving. Isn't it a bit early for that? Claire's dismissal wrapped around Sarah like an icy shroud, making her resolve tremble. "No, wait, hear me out. I was thinking." Sarah hesitated. She needed to choose her words carefully. "What if we created something together? You, me, and Derek. A family project. Cooking, sharing recipes, and telling stories. Really diving into our family traditions, what they mean to us." She held her breath, waiting for the inevitable wave of skepticism. Claire said slowly. "That sounds different. You know Mom doesn't like change." The words had a familiar edge of irritation, like an alarm strong enough to derail Sarah's vision before it truly began. "Yes, but that's exactly why we should do it. If we approach it with openness, we might surprise her and ourselves. Think about the possibilities. This could be a chance for real connection. Or it could be a disaster," Claire countered, her voice flat. "You seriously think we can just talk about everything? What about the things we've buried?" It was a crucial moment, a defining line drawn between the past and future. Sarah felt the familiar pang of defensiveness bubble up, but stifled it. Claire had a point. They had navigated around their wounds for years. "I know it's risky," Sarah said, her voice softer, more vulnerable. "But isn't it worth trying? If we keep avoiding those stories, how will we strengthen our foundation? What we create could be beautiful and authentic." Silence stretched on, heavy with unexpressed fears. Claire seemed to weigh Sarah's words. "You really think it could be meaningful?" Claire asked, lowering her guard just a fraction. "Yes, we could discover hidden aspects of our family that we never explored or even knew about. It could help all of us understand where we belong in each other's lives." Again, silence, this time laced with contemplation. "Okay," Claire said finally. Her tone softened, though still cautious. "But we need a plan. I don't want to just dive in blind. What will we even cook? And how do we include Mom without setting her off?" Acting quickly on the opportunity, Sarah seized the moment. "Let's start with our favorite childhood recipes, things that remind us of happy moments. It would make the process feel less daunting while still allowing space for those heavier conversations." Again, silence, this time laced with contemplation. "Okay," Claire said finally. Her tone softened, though still cautious. "But we need a plan. I don't want to just dive in blind. What will we even cook? And how do we include Mom without setting her off?" Acting quickly on the opportunity, Sarah seized the moment. "Let's start with our favorite childhood recipes, things that remind us of happy moments. It would make the process feel less daunting while still allowing space for those heavier conversations." The conversation shifted gears with clarity. As they brainstormed cherished meals, Grandma's pot roast, Mom's famous pie, Sarah felt a rush of vitality. In voicing their favorite recipes, she could sense Claire's walls begin to crack, letting sunlight seep into darkened corners of their family history. "All right, I can get on board with that," Claire replied, a hint of enthusiasm mingling with her practicality. "But you know we need to set boundaries on the emotional side. If it gets too heavy, we need a way out." "Absolutely," Sarah agreed, grateful for Claire's cautious support. "We'll navigate it when it comes, but the goal is to bond through those memories. Nothing should be off limits as long as we're respectful." "Fine, but if it gets out of hand..." "It won't," Sarah interrupted, the conviction in her voice surfacing. "We'll approach it with love and understanding. I can feel it, Claire. This can be a transformative experience for us." With the call wrapping up, Sarah hung up, breathless from the exchange. Claire's initial reluctance had evolved into a possibility, a chance to mold their family's narrative into something new. Yet a palpable tension still lingered within her. Would the actual cooking and sharing evoke tears or joyful laughter? The clock continued its relentless ticking, amplifying her thoughts. In this blend of hope and anxiety, Sarah's mind traveled back to their mother. What if her reaction to the project was the unexpected twist that would change everything? How could they prepare for the storm that might follow once emotions were laid bare? Her pulse quickened at the prospect. Before she could spiral into doubt, another call pulled her back. The question was not just about dinner, but nurturing their fragile connection. With a sudden surge of determination, she steeled herself for whatever lay ahead. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. Each step deeper into this vulnerability could either heal or unravel the fabric of their family. Though the horizon looked uncertain, Sarah felt a flicker of something undeniable glow within her.
At the edge of her mind, a question hung, unvoiced. Would she be able to confront the past without losing herself in the chaos? Now, with the sun setting, she knew she had no choice but to find out. As Sarah hung up the phone, an unexpected surge of adrenaline coursed through her veins. The conversation with Claire had shifted from apprehension to tentative excitement, a transformation that hadn't been anticipated. Yet, with that enthusiasm came a nagging sense of urgency. Time would not wait, and if this family project was to go beyond dreaming, she needed a solid plan of action. She stood up and began pacing the small, cluttered kitchen, the scent of stale coffee still lingering in the air. Each step echoed a commitment that was firming inside her, not just to Claire or Derek, but to herself. Sarah had always struggled with following through on her visions. Initiating plans was easy, but executing them, especially ones so laden with emotional complexity, had historically stumped her ambitions. Gathering her thoughts, she decided to jot down the unexpected pockets of inspiration she'd felt during the call. She grabbed a pen and a notepad, the blank pages an invitation for possibilities. Get organized, she reminded herself. Her messy kitchen could symbolize her chaotic mind. It needed a touch of discipline. The warmth of memories began to bubble up as she wrote. Grandma's pot roast. What was the secret ingredient that always made it succulent? And Mom's pie, a dish that had the uncanny ability to lighten any family mood. While memories flooded in, so did unresolved feelings. Did Claire even remember those moments the same way? Just as doubt threatened to creep in, she undertook an exercise that helped quell her anxiety. She took slow, measured breaths to ground herself and regain clarity. "I can do this," she whispered under her breath, reflecting on her hidden ability to organize culinary events in her college years, experiences she'd long buried beneath routine adulthood. She was capable of more than she often gave herself credit for. And then it struck her. Cuisine might offer not just a means to connect, but a structured way to peel back layers of their family history. Food, after all, could facilitate dialogue. She could envision how each recipe might lead to stories. Her mother recalling experiences of cooking under Grandma's watchful eye, or Claire sharing bizarre misadventures from their youth. With fresh determination, Sarah drafted a tentative schedule. She planned to have Derek join them alongside Claire for the preparation. Initially, they would focus only on who would prepare what dish. Limitations needed to be set out to avoid any overwhelming emotions. That meant structuring the first session purely around logistics and creative expression. No heavy conversations would surface yet, at least not until they felt secure enough to tread in those waters together. Once her initial plan sketched out, a sense of empowerment replaced the relentless worry that had clung like a shadow. Sarah realized she thrived on creating pathways for connection. Maybe it was in her nature to bring people together, a thought that struck her as liberating. She felt the swell of potential change not just for their family, but for who she could become. Yet, as she folded the notepad and tucked it away, uncertainty threaded its way back in. How would their mother respond? Could she accept a more open format regarding family traditions? Sarah pondered the depth of her mother's dismissal of change and how past grievances intertwined in the very fabric of their family's identity. Clarity was within reach, but it was overshadowed by the nagging question: would this project unify them or deepen their divides? Days sped by, and as the weekend approached, tension grew in the air. Sarah's resolve solidified. She would not back down. Initiating these conversations could potentially reset the family dynamics. And if she could master the delicate art of merging family and dialogue around the dinner table, perhaps it would start to reshape her own identity in the process. With all these thoughts layered in her mind, an unnerving truth lay right beneath the surface. Digging too deeply might unearth not just memories, but emotions too raw to handle. She'd achieved the first step, creating a plan, but now came the more daunting task, convincing the family to embrace it. Would this attempt to rediscover her family's roots ignite a fire of positive change or lead to an emotional collapse? As night fell and shadows deepened, Sarah felt the turmoil of her own heartache emerging, hinting at a revelation she wasn't quite prepared to face. The moment of truth was upon her. She just had to step into it. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, the remnants of a chaotic week still swirling in her mind. But as she contemplated the upcoming family gathering, a newfound sense of determination surged within her. Today would mark a pivotal step, not just for her culinary project, but for her entire familial dynamic. This time, she wouldn't shy away from pursuing the connection she so craved. She meticulously arranged the ingredients for her family's cherished recipes. The aroma of fresh herbs filled the space, encasing her in warmth and nostalgia. Each dish represented not just a meal, but a story, a memory that had somehow bonded them all. In this moment, she felt a grounding presence, a confidence that had been missing for far too long. This was her opportunity to lay the foundation for a deeper understanding among them. As the clock ticked toward the gathering hour, Sarah busied herself, visualizing the family members who would soon crowd around the dining table. Derek would arrive first, the jokester who often broke the silence with humor, but she hoped he would step into the vulnerability they had discussed. Claire, her elder sister, would bring her own layers of restraint, but with their pact in place, Sarah was optimistic about what might unfold. In a few hours, they would not only create dinner together, they would weave threads of connection into a narrative that had long been left untold. With the final touches complete, she added a fresh batch of cookies to the table, her mother's classic recipe that always warmed hearts. Perhaps this family project would become more than sharing food. It would nurture their spirits and rekindle memories. When Derek arrived, his enthusiasm illuminated the room. "Hey, Sarah, this smells amazing." His vibrant energy injected life into the atmosphere. As they began chopping vegetables and discussing ingredients, she felt a flicker of hope. As Claire walked through the door, Sarah's heart raced. "Ready to dive in?" she asked, attempting to strike a light-hearted tone. Claire seemed hesitant, but nodded, checking the recipe Sarah had laid out. "Okay, let's see what we can do here," she replied, yet Sarah could sense the underlying trepidation. They kicked off the cooking session with laughter, inadvertently breaking down walls built by years of misunderstandings. Each shared memory regarding their dishes, who had always burned the garlic bread or spilled the sauce, revealed slices of who they had been in their youth. As they moved to the main course, Sarah felt a shift. Derek was engaged, asking questions about Grandma's pot roast recipe with genuine curiosity. Claire's demeanor relaxed significantly, and she began experimenting rather than sticking to the strict guidelines, embodying a sense of freedom in her cooking. After a round of stories, laughter filled the room. They were bonding as they had never done before. It felt so real. The warmth isn't just from their cooking, it stemmed from the shared honesty that she had longed for. Midway through the evening, when silence fell, Sarah took a leap. "You guys, I'd love for us to share those moments together when we sit down to eat," she said softly, her heart racing. "Kind of like how we talked about during the last dinner." Claire looked up, curiosity sparking in her eyes. "You mean sharing what the food means to us?" "Exactly," she continued. "I think it could help us stitch together our histories. Our stories about these dishes can bring us even closer." After a moment, Derek chimed in.
I think that's a good idea. It'll also give me a chance to learn your weird food traditions. I mean, who else would say roasted chestnuts are the family MVP? With laughter bubbling up again, Sarah felt more alive than ever. It was exhilarating to guide them through this transformation of their relationship. As they set the table, anticipation surged within Sarah. She could hardly contain her excitement as they sat down to eat. With the first bite of pot roast, Claire began to reminisce. I remember, Grandma would always use this recipe when we visited. The first time I tried to help, and I ended up making a mess. As her sister shared the memory interspersed with her vulnerability, it opened the floodgates. Sarah followed, recounting how her own insecurities had made her retreat from family interactions for so long. Each story they shared peeled away the layers of pretense that had shadowed their connections for years. What surprised Sarah, however, was when Derek spoke with depth, revealing that he often hid behind humor to mask his deeper feelings of inadequacy. The bravery he exhibited astounded her. I'm realizing I've been joking around because I didn't want anyone to see that I felt disconnected. I thought it was just how we did things. At that moment, her family hadn't just come together for food. They had created an atmosphere of healing, a cultivation of something powerful. They were rewriting their family narrative, and Sarah felt herself embody that story like never before. The evening transformed into a healing ritual, mixing tradition and contemporary honesty, and she could see pride reflected in Claire and Derek's eyes. Days passed into weeks, and the echoes of that evening lingered, inspiring each family member to lean into communication. Sarah felt the warmth of acknowledgement blossoming within her. She had transformed not only her relationship with Derek and Claire, but also with herself. In that growing space of acceptance, Sarah began to explore her passion for writing, crafting a blog that interwove her family's cherished recipes and the heartfelt stories surrounding them. With every post, she related deeper narratives of her family history and personal experience. Recognition followed, and doors began to open. She had not only embarked on a food journey, but one of self-acceptance and family reconnection. At family dinners, they continued to share stories, unpacking unresolved issues and embracing vulnerabilities that had once stifled them. Sarah learned to articulate her own feelings while witnessing the transformation of her loved ones. They embraced the complexities of familial connections, forging a deeper bond rooted in truth. Sarah stood in her kitchen one crisp autumn afternoon, stirring her latest culinary creation, now confident in her voice and her art. This was no simple journey. It had birthed a renaissance of the family unit. And in this transformation, she had secured her own voice, realizing that she was not just a family member lost among expectations, but a vital, vibrant participant in a shared narrative. With each meal made, each story told, Sarah became the anchor of unity and self-discovery within her family, a vessel of resilience and love guiding them through the waves of change together. Now, dear audience, this is your chance for transformation. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find their path to personal growth as well. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Your engagement matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring conclusion. Together, let's spark a journey of empowerment.